last but not least, the man who I tried to cancel tonight, you know, Mr. Ed Daniels is a guy that I don't know if anybody's done more for, you know, prep sports in our area. He's somebody that always supports St. Charles Catholic as well. You know, him and Ken Trahan are always pushing our players and our coaches for awards at the end of the year, and you know, Friday night football, if they can be there, they're going to be there and showcase our program, and we're so appreciative. He's a true friend. You know, sometimes you book these guys and they try to pretend like they forgot, but Mr. Ed Daniels has texted me the last 3 weeks confirming a date, and I know he's been a little under the weather the last couple of days, and he could have easily bowed out. In fact, I tried to tell him to, but he's here, and we want to tell him how much we appreciate it. And I just want to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Ed Daniels.
Thank you. So Sunday night, I wasn't feeling very well, and I got chills and all this other stuff. Maybe I'm coming down with a fever. I don't know. So I went to bed. I woke up early Monday morning, and I went to the urgent care. And I walked in, and they said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Well, I have a urinary tract infection or a kidney infection. I know exactly what it is." So they put me on, and maybe some of you in the medical field, they put me on something called Keflex. And boy, it just messed with me. So I finally quit taking it today, and I got something else that I'm going to take when I get home tonight. But it's amazing. I didn't take my third dose of the day, and I took it about 1:30, and I felt terrible. But about 4 o'clock or whatever, 4:30, I started to feel a little bit better. And so that's the end of that. Of course, the one thing that I'm worried about is not being able to work this week and missing Friday, which I certainly don't want to do. It's sad news about Aiden, and I've told Coach Stein this on many occasions. He's a warrior, and a guy that really is a testament to the kind of program you have. And I've told Coach Stein over the years, I've told Coach Monica, you know, I've told other coaches. I've told Nelson Stewart, I've told Mark Bonise and Brother Martin. I said, look, nobody plays harder or practices harder than these kids. And last year's team was very, very special. That was a great championship. Now, I would like to apologize. I'm going to get on the phone tomorrow, and I'm going to raise hell with the guy in Lafayette who was supposed to help us with highlights of the game. We had a few, but we didn't have many. And that wasn't because of anything that we did. We tried to make arrangements to get somebody to shoot the game on Friday night, and they helped us some, and we appreciate that. But if you go back in the quarters of the semifinals, we'll certainly make every effort to drive over there and be there. One of the games we are covering this Friday night is Newman at Manny. One of our guys, Aaron Lee, is from Minden, Louisiana, so he's going home to see his mom and dad, and he'll be there tomorrow afternoon and Thursday. And then on Friday, he's going to meet the Newman team at Northwestern State, where they practice and get dressed, and then he'll be at the game on Friday night. Of course, we'll be here at this game on Friday night as well. I have seen De La Salle play. They have an excellent team. Their running back's a very good player. They do have a very big offensive line. You know, they made a great comeback against Holy Cross. They were down 22-0 at the half, but they stayed with the running game, and they were able to get it done. Now, I did see him play against Newman early in the year, and Newman did a really nice job of stuffing them on the run. They did an excellent job against them. I think that was the Jamboree. It was a Jamboree, huh, Coach? Yeah. So I have seen them play. They're an excellent team, and I think it ought to be a great matchup. And you know what? Look, if any team can do a great job defensively and overcome the loss of the quarterback, I think this group is certainly equipped to do that. Plus, the one thing that I think that you guys will always have an edge on most, and I know how much emphasis you place on special teams, and the kicking game is a huge part of your success over the years. You know, that punt against Lafayette Christian, you know, that play didn't surprise me, not one bit, because I know how much, that has been a tradition here, along with the hard practicing and the hard play and the physical nature of what you do. So, moving forward, I think you guys will be in great shape by the end of the year, and we look forward to covering you in the playoffs. And we'll be at some other games as well. I don't think we'll be in Abbeville, but we'll see. I'll talk to our Lafayette people and see if they can help us. Now, I wasn't feeling very well on Sunday, but I had to laugh. I came home from work. We edited at the Superdome after the game, and then I went to church, and then after I got home from Mass, about 7:30, my wife had cooked dinner, and I looked at her and I said, she absolutely hates the football season, okay? And she says, well, I guess we can start making plans for January. And I said, well, I don't know about that. I think the Saints have some work to do, but it sure was a disappointing game on Sunday, because that's the kind of game you want to win. And I know everyone's talking about the fight, and I get all of that, but the fumble at the end of the third quarter was really the difference in the game. And one of the things I did was I went back and looked at Tom Brady's career interceptions, and he's played 320 NFL games, which is an insane number in the regular season. 320 NFL regular season games, and he's thrown 204 interceptions. So when you talk about a guy who does a great job of protecting the football, it's him. And I think that's the kind of game it was. It was a game where, one or two plays were going to win it or lose it, and both teams were playing great defense, and yards were really hard to come by. And the one thing he did was, I don't think you can say it was in the lexicon of what he's done over the years that it was a great game. All right, he only threw for 190 yards. He only ran for 72. But the one thing they did, which I think is giant, especially in the NFL these days, is they didn't beat themselves. And he got one chance to throw a touchdown pass in the end zone where he had some extra time, and he put the ball right on the money to the guy for a score. Other than that, the one thing they did was they protected the ball, and the Saints did not. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. I think one of the things I'm going to do, I know that Tulane has arrived as a football program because my wife asked me to take her to the game on Saturday night. So, and I didn't get a chance to tell Coach Fritz that today, but I'm going to, about 2:30, 3 o'clock, we're going to go to Superior Grill and have a little late lunch, and then we're going to go to the game. And we're going to hang out, and maybe I'll learn a few things. She'll tell me a few things as we go along. But it ought to be a fun atmosphere. I was in Baton Rouge last week, and that was a fun game. I thought their second half was terrific against a good team. I thought their defense was really good. The one thing that was kind of strange for me, though, is I have never, ever in my life seen traffic at an LSU game like I did when they played Southern. Yeah. It was insane. And I'll tell you, I kept procrastinating because what happened was I was going to the game. Well, I was like, okay, I'm going to leave at 1:30. But then I'm watching the Alabama-Texas game, and I can't pull myself away from it, all right? So my wife kept saying, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? I said, okay, I'm gonna go. So I listened to the rest of it on my Sirius XM radio app, but I didn't leave till 2:10, and I got inside Tiger Stadium at 5 o'clock, and I got to Baton Rouge in about an hour, but Waze kept taking me all kind of different places to try to go somewhere, but the traffic was insane. And the traffic on the way home, even though half the stadium had emptied, was insane. I didn't get home until like, golly, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. It was, I have never ever seen traffic like that at an LSU game. What I thought was really interesting though about that game was this. At halftime, everybody's waiting to see the bands perform together, okay? And I gotta tell you, it was special because LSU has a great band, okay? To me, Southern University, probably the best band in the country. They are superior, okay? They are incredible. And, you know, watching the bands play was together was great. And they did the Cupid Shuffle. I don't know if any of y'all were there and saw that, but it was cool, okay? But what was amazing to me was the game was out of hand at halftime. So the football game, for all intents and purposes, was over, right? I think it was 51-0 or whatever. But what was really interesting is, as soon as the bands finished and they were marching off the field, it looked like somebody had called in an airstrike on Tiger Stadium. Everybody was gone. It was really, but I thought after the game, I was like, good, okay, this is good. This is good, I'm gonna stick around. I'm going to the Brian Kelly post-game interview, and then I'll go home, and I'll get home at a reasonable hour. Well, that wasn't the case. So that was a lot of fun. This season has been great so far. I think we've had a lot of great football. I'm for some of the changes that have happened in the LHSAA. What I find interesting, and I think the North Louisiana principals are starting to question it, and it doesn't surprise me that they are. What I find interesting is that for years, I was told at every LHSAA meeting or convention that I went to, well, that it was a principals organization, okay? And you know what, hey, this is what the principals voted for. I heard that for years. Well, none of the principals voted for what we saw in early September, not a one. It was done by the executive director and the executive committee. And like I said, I'm not opposed to what they're trying to do, because I think they're trying to end the split. But I think what's going to happen in January is that some of the schools may try to change what the definition of select is. I don't know how they're going to do that. I think that the executive committee and the executive director kind of have them boxed in right now. But I know there's some North Louisiana principals who are very unhappy with the situation the way it is right now. Now, the one thing I've asked all the time, all right, and I've asked this question a bunch, and some of the people in North Louisiana, I know I wrote something for Kenny Trahan's website, CrescentCitySports.com, and the one thing I asked was this. I was like, okay, Manny was one of the schools who was totally in favor of the split when it happened in January of 2013. And their principal at the time expanded the split, or made the proposal to expand the split in softball, baseball, and boys and girls basketball. So, okay, well, how are they not select? Because right now, they are the only football playing school in their entire parish. So if you want to play football, you can go to Manny and be eligible immediately. So I don't know how they're not select, and they get all offended by that. What I don't like is I don't like a school that sets up the rules to exclude others so they don't have to play them, okay, and then professes themselves as one of the great powers in America. Okay, I don't like that, and I don't think that's a good idea, and I'm opposed to that. And hopefully, I think the playoff brackets in select will be a lot better. I think the select playoffs have a chance to be really good. But I've always heard that this was a principals organization. Not one principal voted on this. But I'm not surprised, okay? Not surprised. I think they're trying to end the split. I understand. I understand what Mr. Bonine and his cohorts up there in Baton Rouge are trying to do. I don't know what's going to happen in that regard. We'll see. So with that, I'll open it up to questions if anybody has any. Yes, sir.
What's the reasoning for it going into effect now? It's affecting the playoffs, like not redistricting the schools, but affecting the playoffs.
Well, I think they also did something where you had, if you wanted to submit a proposal, you had to do it by August 31st. Is that right, Coach? Yeah. So I think basically it was set up where this is what they were going to do, and hopefully they can get enough people who like it, and that they'll at least they'll stick with it or expand it. That's my opinion. And you know, I'm not surprised by any of it. We had heard rumors about it, you know, a bunch. What I did find a little surprising was some of the Jefferson Parish schools that were in it and that are select. I think they were a little shocked. But hey, but I do think that there'll be a wave from that side, the public school side, to try to change it in January. Now, what does that rule read like? What does that law read like? What does that change look like? I don't know. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, it's good to see all of you again. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Did the officials that they were lacking, have they increased their numbers or is
No, I think they're less than 800 in the state now. I think there are less than 800 officials in the state of Louisiana. And I know that in the New Orleans area, there have been some games that have been moved to Thursday afternoon and Thursday night because they don't have enough officials. I guess they got tired of Frank Monica yelling at all of them. So, when Coach Stein said he was getting on the officials, I was like, I know where he learned that. I know where he had that. Yes, sir. On Winston? Well, if you saw the report, he's playing with 4 cracked vertebrae in his back. That can't be too comfortable. I would think at some point that, you know, I can't imagine him going through a whole season like that. Maybe he will. I think it's commendable that he tried to play. You know, because one thing we kept asking, because he was limited in practice every day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which means he did not have a full practice the whole week. But, you know, I would think that that's hard to do. And, you know, one thing I would say is that, in all fairness, probably sometimes he kind of holds on to the ball a little too much. But, you know, look, he didn't have a good game against a really good defense. And let's see what happens moving forward. The one stat that I will give you, and I tell people all the time, you don't understand how important Alvin Kamara is to the New Orleans Saints. Okay? In the last year, the last 19 games, okay, in the last 19 games, the Saints are 10-9 in the last 19 games. They are 10-4 with Alvin Kamara. They are 0-5 when he doesn't play. And to me, he's such an elite player. His ability to take a simple play and turn it into a great play, and his ability as a pass receiver, that when you take that guy out of your offense, I think it changes how teams defend you. And he is, to me, I mean, I just think that he's an elite threat because of all the things he does. Because you can get the ball to him on one of those little choice routes, and all of a sudden, he makes a big play. I just think that, and I said that last week, I said, I'm going to take Tampa Bay minus the 2.5 because Kamara isn't playing. And I just think Kamara is a tremendously valuable football player. And I think the numbers would prove that. I mean, if you look at, now I know they were playing with different quarterbacks, but if you look at last year without him, their offense kind of came to a screeching halt right there in the middle of the season, right? I mean, I think he's got something to do with that. He's really, really good. Anybody else? Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to come here. I heard that Richie was here earlier this year. Don't believe anything he says about how difficult I am to get along with or work with. Okay. You know, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. You know, I'm 65 years old. Okay, I made 65 in July. All right, and I have more energy than they do. right? During the football season, I can work 7 days a week. I don't need a day off, okay? When it starts on July 25th or whatever, all right? I can go all the way to February if I need to. I don't care. I'm just gonna get up every day like a machine and do it, all right? But all these youngsters, they need days off, and it's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing to me. But Richie's a very hard-working guy, and he's going to do real well. And the one thing that I will say about him that I think is extremely valuable is that he understands how important prep sports is. And how important it is, not only period, but how important it is to our mission and what we do in all sports. And you know, Wayne, we've covered baseball and all the other sports that are a big part of it. But it really is weird if you're in the office and everybody in the office is 30 years younger than you or more. Okay, because I remember when I was a pup. Okay, when I first started working at Channel 6 with Buddy Diliberto, I was 24 years old. And those 41 years have gone by in a blur, all right? But it's so weird, to be in an office where you're the old man. And, you know, but here's the deal. One thing I told them, you know, after the hurricane, and I was here in La Place reporting in the morning, like 6, 7 in the morning, and I was at my house, and they called me about 9:30, 9:45 and said, look, can you work the morning show? Because by that time the storm had passed. And I said, yeah, I can do it. My wife was like, are you nuts? Are you gonna get up? You're gonna get up at 2:30? I said, yeah, I'm gonna get up at 2:30. So I got up at 2:30, and we started in Kenner, and then we went to Destrehan, St. Charles Parish, and then we came over here, and I saw what was going on here. But to me, you know, I enjoy what I do. I don't know if it'll be a sad day for anybody else, but it'll be a sad day for me when I'm not doing it anymore, because it really has been a way of life, and I enjoy it immensely. So thank you very much.